I think as a kid, I remember I used to do kayaking
his
a
request.
lot, but during the summers and all.
Which
And that's what they showed you how to do it with the, where you had to do it actually as part of the test. They wouldn't let you off kayaking unless you put your fin there and it just kind of rolls right around and rolls up again. But when it happened to me, I was looking at my watch, so I just went right down. There was no kind of messing with it. I was but I managed to get up and I managed to right, which was pretty easy to do. But then I couldn't get back on the kayak. I was just stuck there.
Wow.
I was too stunned to be scared. If I thought about it, I would have been scared. But I was just too stunned.
Yeah, what happened?
Ready, Smokey?
Like that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I had the
Put it on or not.
race anyway. But, John sure gets prepared, isn't he?
Pardon me for the delay. It being after 6:30, we're going to open the July edition of the Zoning Board of Appeals. First thing on the agenda is old and new business, which would include approving the minutes from June 9th of 2016. Anyone like to make a motion regarding the minutes on June 9th, 2016?
Make a motion to approve the minutes from
We have
June
a
9th, 2016.
Second.
motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I abstain.
Approved. First item on the agenda tonight is the request for an extension on 60 Lake Street from Mr. Sable. So here. Hey, how are you, sir?
We're doing well.
So we have a letter submitted to the board dated 14 June. Basically, this is something we approved back in July a year ago, and you're looking for a 6-month extension. That's correct?
Yeah. It's kind of written there, but
Yep.
this evening I was out of work for a while. I finally secured a job and funds are all better and I got a contract lined up and everything. I just need a little bit more time. I understand from Marshall that 6 months is all that you can grant.
Yes, sir.
An extension, I think that should be plenty of time. I plan to move forward with this very soon. I just wanted to kind of solidify my job a little bit, make sure it was all well and good and everything's going well, so I can move forward with the project.
Understandable.
No changes to what you had approved before, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, thank you. It seems like a pretty straightforward thing, guys.
Well, I have a couple of questions. First of all, you haven't taken a permit out yet,
No,
correctly?
correct, no. I want the contract to do that, so I'm not liable for the higher contract. I'm not gonna take the permit out in my name. I have to.
The reason I say that, you have right now until the 28th of July. This is the 14th. So it kind of muddles this. We're jumping ahead of the situation because we have not, you technically, and is it recorded?
Yes, definitely recorded in the deeds and everything. I did that next day.
Okay, but without a permit, it's pretty hard for us to go forward, unless I'm wrong. What do you say, Marshall, on that?
I believe that if you took action on the permit, it would, based on the relief that was granted, that there's case law that suggests that that does solidify it. But where he's here now, I would suggest that it would be simpler just to grant the extension. There's nothing different. Nothing else would be accomplished, and this is cleaner than trying to do that. Plus, he wants to have his contractor, which I'm in favor of, make application for the permit, and rather than him doing it and then having it potentially transferred from his name to his contractor's name, which is probably where it'd be headed. And that's going to mean simpler and less paperwork.
And how many times can he extend it after that, or just once?
Just, I believe it's
And
just
you
a
know that,
one
right?
6-month extension through you people. Then if he has to make application and take action on that relief that's granted, otherwise, within the, that 6-month period, if it's you so grant. Otherwise, the.
You could extend, yourself could extend it if it's substantially.
If he applies, makes application, and I issue a permit to him, yes, then he's got 6 months to take action with that permit. Otherwise, then he, at that point, would be allowed to come to me with a, I believe it's written request with, citing a
in the zoning
circumstance that
laws.
would allow. Otherwise, he's allowed to proceed. It doesn't say how expediently, and move along with it.
I just wouldn't drag it if I were you, if you
Yeah,
get.
no, I don't want to at all, and there is a chance that it might be done within the 14 days, but I don't, that's cutting it a little close for me. You know how contractors are. If he doesn't get everything lined up in the 14 days, till the 28th, it could be an issue. So 6 months, I have no doubt at all, hopefully this project's going to be all
But
done before winter.
it shouldn't be a big deal just to get the permit from you, is it?
There are certain things that have to be maintained, and with regards to verification that what he's going to be in compliance with, what you've granted, the 2436 off the top of my head, and the setback requirements, et cetera. So, it's not outright straight simple, so, which is another reason I think what him going through with this, I think, is a better solution.
And keep in mind, Mr. Sable, that you don't have to be done within 6 months. You basically just have to have the project
permit
rolling.
process and rolling,
You
exactly.
gotta
I understand all that.
basically get a shovel in the ground.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why, like I said, if it didn't come here, I'm gonna be kind of hard pressed to really start going and everything. I'd rather get the correct contract to get everything, all my ducks in a row, as they say, and get it done correctly through Marshall and everything. That way it gives me a little bit of breathing room, and we can do it all correctly and be done.
And I can certainly see you'd want it, it's a garage, you'd like to have it done
Yeah, I
before the
wanted it
bad weather
last year when I
breaks.
came here, we went through everything, and
I
it was
understand.
a little tough getting the employment, and now I'm happily employed, and everything can go along, which is a good feeling.
Okay, great.
You can ask questions.
Any questions?
That's okay.
Would someone like to make a motion?
Or do you want to open it up?
anybody here?
It's not really a
No?
public
It isn't, okay.
petition. It didn't get advertised. The abutters did not need to get notified regarding this, so.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to accept the request for extension on 60 Lake Street, William Stabler, right?
Sable.
Sable, excuse me.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. We're all set?
Good luck.
Thank you, gentlemen, I appreciate it, thank you, Marshall. Have a great day, guys.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Remember I told you, Heritage.
All right.
It being,
Thank you. That's super.
it being after 6:35 PM, the vice chairman will read the petition of Marcelino Montrand.
The Town of Abington Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public meeting, public hearing on Thursday, July 14, 2016, at 6:35 at the town office at 500 Colinski Way, Abington, on the petition of Marcelino?
Marcelino.
Okay, sorry,
Montrand, right?
Montron. 600 Bedford Street, Whitman.
Bro- That's confusing, because it's written Brockton
You want me
here,
to say
but it
Whitman?
says
I
Whitman.
moved, it should have been Whitman.
So we'll just say Whitman? Okay. For a special permit for the opening lot storage of 10 vehicles on 0 Brockton Ave under Abington zoning bylaw, section 175-21H2. The property is located Assessors Map, Plan 3, Plot 86, on the highway commercial zone.
All right, so, you guys can come up if you'd like. There's been like an issue with the public notification of this hearing, okay? in terms of what we're required to do by law, obviously there's an abutters list that you were supplied, and the abutters had to get the letters sent to them. And then it also needs to get advertised in the newspaper. Nancy received notification from the Brockton Enterprise that the ad did not hit the newspaper at the right time, so it has not been officially advertised. I put a call in to town council today, as soon as I heard from it, to try and get advice regarding, you know, do I postpone the hearing? Do we not have a hearing? Do we have a hearing? Town council did not get back to me. So my instincts are saying that we have not met the threshold for a proper open hearing. And so what I'm recommending is that we continue this to the August hearing. Okay, that way the enterprise has a chance. If there are abutters here, you folks will not get another letter in the mail, and which is, you know, I'm not gonna put Mr. Montron through the expense of, you know, a whole nother public mailing. So instead, this is your official notification that the hearings, in essence, continued on till August 11th, and it'll be the first hearing, so it'll be at 6:35, correct? PM. I don't want to go through this and accept it or deny it, and then hear from town council tomorrow that, you know, we shouldn't have had the hearing. So I do apologize for that, and I apologize for the abutters, but I just
For hacking your name.
try to, you know, we're all volunteers here, we try and do the right thing, and I want to do the right thing by the abutters, and I want to do the right thing by Mr. Montron. So for the abutters who maybe came to speak for or against this, this is your official notice that it's August 11th at 6:35 PM, which is the second Thursday of the month, correct? All righty?
Thank you.
And so the enterprise will get their stuff straightened out, and for those who came on such a nice warm evening, I apologize. But we had no other way of really letting you folks know.
Bill, does he have to advertise it again? Does he have
You
to,
just said no.
does he have to advertise in the paper again?
I don't, yeah,
It's his
well, that's the thing, is it didn't,
Yeah.
it
So
didn't
does he
make
know
it in the,
that?
it didn't make it in the enterprise.
So does Mr. Montron know, but he has to advertise it again in the paper?
My understanding,
It was their mistake, the enterprise.
Oh, so they're going to do it?
yeah, the ad was paid for, but it did not get submitted on time.
I'll submit the ad to them.
So,
for the
like I said, I called Alana.
In the, I happened to read that today,
Okay,
that if there is any kind of error,
Okay.
then you go to the next meeting, especially if it's his, so you're covered in here.
excellent. Sometimes you just gotta trust your spidey sense.
It's his, you know, not his error, but it is an error.
All right.
Sorry about that.
So for the next, I'm gonna step out on this one.
Yes, sir.
Wait a minute, did you want to, everything, make a motion to postpone that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Sorry, I kinda officially did it, but we'll officially do it as well.
Vote on it.
So can we make a motion to,
I make a motion to delay the meeting of Mr. Marcelino Montron from this date to August 11th, due to a problem in notifying the abutters,
The paper, newspaper.
newspaper.
right,
I second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay.
On this one, I'm gonna step out because I know the realtor and I know her husband, and I just gonna step out on this one, okay?
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
All righty. And then there were three.
And there were three.
So now the vice chairman will read, the acting vice chairman will read the petition of Linda Regan, or Reagan.
How you doing? The Town of Abington Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on Thursday, July 14th, at 6:40 PM at the Town Office, 500 Glennis Way, Abington, on the petition of Linda Regan, 729 Randolph Street, Abington, for a variance/special permit to convert existing detached ceramic studio into an apartment at 729 Randolph Street under Abington zoning bylaw, section 175-21-A. The property is located on Assessor's Plan 57, Plot 107 in the R30 zone.
Alrighty, so, welcome in, say your piece. Make your case, however you like me to say it.
My husband built the house and, he passed away 3 years ago. Ceramic business is on the downhill slide. I'm turning 68 in September. I'm getting tired. Unfortunately, because it's such a unique property, it's very difficult to sell. And anybody that's been interested has been interested in turning the shop into a rental of apartment. The property beside me is purchased, and it's all rental. Property across the street from me is all rental. And it's a church. It's not like Old Farm Road, it's busier street, so I think that a rental would be a lot better than who knows what business will. So, I'm applying for it because it'll help sell it. I never sell it, I'm stuck there, I might actually do it, but right now it's just helping get out.
And the house, Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
The house beside you is actually apartments already?
Yes, the
What?
owner, owns, I guess he just owns lots of property, and he just rents.
Is
So
it
it's-
apartments or the house itself is rented?
The house is rented.
The house is
First
rented.
floor to one families, second floor to the other. And then across the street, same thing. First, there's two sides to it. They're both rental, they're renting to their son in the back, but another family in front.
Is
I
that,
think what she's trying to say is multifamily, multifamily.
I don't know the correct
Properties,
terms,
right?
sure.
Oh, I see.
So,
is the same guy that renting next door to you runs across the street too? Oh,
Two different
to
homes.
understand. So we felt that it may be more beneficial to the neighborhood to have rental, people living and residentially as opposed to business where people are coming and going, and that it seems to be much more beneficial to the neighborhood if that were the case.
None of my students want to sell, but.
Right.
So, if you wouldn't mind, tell me a little about the proposed structure, like how many bedrooms would it be converted to? Do we have square footage of the structure
So the
itself?
square footage of the structure is, so she has a main house, and behind it literally looks like another house.
Mhm.
It was built in 2000, Ripley building.
Well, no rooms,
I don't, I'm sorry.
right?
I've only been here about 15, 16 years, so.
So-
There used to be a business in
Okay.
Abington on 139 called Rips, all kinds of things. And he actually started his business
There.
there, but we had a fire and literally took everything.
So both buildings are brand new. Her home is brand new, and then behind the structure that she currently runs, the ceramics business out of is brand new as well. It currently is 2 floors. I believe, I won't quote it exactly the square footage, but it's around 2,400 square feet. We do understand that maybe not all of that could be allocated to a residence or an apartment, maybe some of it would be storage, but, it's very big, we understand that, so.
How big is the main house?
The main house is just a wee bit bigger at about 2680 square foot. Yep.
The assessor has the main house listed at 2490 square feet of living area, and has the outbuilding as 1,175, apparently, from what you're telling me. The assessor isn't aware that there's a second story in that outbuilding.
Yeah, it's.
That's what I'm guessing.
Yeah, maybe, it seems, I would say it's the second floor is maybe not finished, it's just storage.
Oh, well, he has 1175 of living space, so that's why. If you've got a large attic or second-floor storage area, that's what it is. So you've got 1,100, according to the assessor, I haven't been in it, it's 1175 square feet of living area or conditioned space for your, it's not living area. Right now, it's, yeah.
We do have a bed.
Now, I have a question regarding it's an R30, which is meant to be somewhat of a spacious area. And I've noticed when I drove by and looked at it, it's very congested. And I'm very nervous about allowing this because then everybody's going to say, let me throw into this parking spot I got here and we'll put cement around the pavement in the front and then we're going to have more apartments all along there, and an R30 then becomes an R20, or not what it's designed to be. And it's very hard to control that once it gets started, in my opinion. Some will say every case is individual, but I think once you do it, I've heard people come back and say, well, you're allowed it here, you're allowed it here, you're allowed it here. I'm very leery about doing this, and if I were to even consider it, if you're going to be converting in any way to sales, when did garage work? Number one. Because I don't see a garage there, whereas the other neighbors do. And another thing is maybe even limiting the size of the apartment and how big an apartment you allow it. Because it does put additional burden on the town for services and that. That's what I've got to offer at this point.
Thank you. Coming back to one of my questions a moment ago, we have an idea of the size of the buildings. Do you have any plans for, like, any drawings, renderings, sketches on what you're expecting the inside to look like?
I'm pretty much doing this, not to do it myself, but to help sell it.
Right.
Because I can't, you've got to find somebody who wants to open a business that's okay through the R30, or they have to go to a special permit.
Right. And
It
we've,
just makes it very difficult
we
to
have
sell.
twice, I'd say in the past 3 or 4 years, maybe even before you got here, John, approved the changing of commercial space in a commercial district to residential because of the market. We've done that twice, but they weren't detached buildings. They were, you know, there's one up near Trukey's, there's one over on Bedford Street. Here's, I didn't have a chance to view this property as I just got my packet. I've been out of town for a while. Here are my current concerns right now, is just in looking at this, you know, how are we for lot coverage? Because if it suddenly becomes residential, then all of a sudden she's subjected to coverage. Because
That is
there
an
is
issue.
coverage issues in R30, I believe, right? Highway commercial there isn't, but I'd want to know, like, are we approving a 1-bedroom, a 2-bedroom, you know, a 3-bedroom, before I gave permission to do this. You know, I think, aren't accessory apartments limited to like 900 square feet?
It's,
Or is that just in?
For an in-law.
In-law.
Specifies no more than 50% of the principal structure or 900 square feet, whichever is less.
But it's not for.
But it's not, this isn't an in-law, this would be a special permit, I believe, under 17521A1A, for an accessory, a detached accessory apartment is what she's asking for. So the 900 square feet in-law, that's a little bit apples and oranges, although it is somewhat similar. It would be, if you allowed the just use of the first floor, the 1,175 square feet, be 275 square foot over the limit of what an in-law would allow. It's an existing structure that has been created. Here's the situation you've got. You could have a garage, a church, a school, a daycare, office, off-premise occupation, farming, agriculture. I don't know what really lends itself to the area she's looking at. Any more bedrooms you're looking at, potential burden on schools and et cetera, but a 1,200 or 1,175 square foot, one-bedroom apartment, use on the first floor, that kind of thing. Might make it more saleable for her, not put a burden on the town, and you've got an existing structure that's been created lawfully.
Right.
That's something to consider, in my opinion.
Now, you're the Realtor.
I am, yes.
Has there been any discussion for anything else for it?
We have tried extensively to market as a business, and from cold calling to mailings to, it's been a couple of months, and I cannot generate an interest for somebody to come in and business. And people are calling constantly, could I do a small apartment there for my son, for my daughter, or for a rental, or
See,
for...
if you just said a key thing there, you said the son, the daughter, that's an in-law.
Yeah, but people are looking for a rental possibility, to make it a rental, whether it be some...
But now you opened up a can. That's the...
Same time, if she's asking for a permission to do an apartment, we can't necessarily grant permission to do an in-law, and she can't make a case for an in-law because she doesn't have
Specific.
a relative.
Right. It's not, yeah.
Right? I mean, you would need to have your son or your daughter, living in a tent in your backyard, like just dying to move in or move them out of your basement and into, without that, we can't grant
The
it.
most interest has been
Right.
for an apartment,
Right.
honestly, and that, I think, is the best marketable use of that
I agree.
beautiful building in the back, and unfortunately, nobody seems to want to use it for a small business,
Mhm.
and that's, it's...
Because it's a neighborhood, that's,
Yeah, nobody wants to put their business there.
Exactly.
So it's tough. It
And-
worked for her, it was also a different time period.
Right.
and exactly, and you had students, because my wife did ceramics, so I understand all that,
The
so.
ceramics business is on a
Right.
downward slide.
But you had X amount of students and that's it, so you had plenty of parking.
So, now, John, did you see this?
Very, the house sticks out, I mean, that
Right.
building sticks out, that's why I made the comment, like parking, and if you look at the picture, the parking, there is one there.
Yeah.
It's all pavement in the front, so it does,
Easily fits like 6 cars.
yeah, but it
And then the other
degrades
side
the
also.
intent of what a R30 is, where you have green and you have some open area. You're not just like a commercial area where all pavement, asphalt. That's the concern that I have.
There's a lot of green in the back.
I know.
There's a huge lot in the back, and that would offset it.
Is it a 30,000 square foot lot? Or was it built prior to the rezoning?
I think it is, if I remember reading.
Very large lot.
Let me see, it's.
So here's kind of where I'm leaning, and maybe, well, let's open it to the floor first, and then I'll kind of let everybody know what I'm kind of thinking. Would anyone here like to speak on this account?
Sure.
Sure, and your name
My
and
name
it?
is Bill Dillon.
Uh-huh,
I live on 4th Street,
yep.
just out the corner. I did want to ask one question. Have you guys seen this property? Anybody?
I said I've not.
Physically seen it?
Yep.
I'm sure I've driven by it in the past, but I haven't studied it for the purpose of this hearing, because
It's kind of,
I was out of town.
it's kind of a strange street. We have lots out there of like 6,000 and 7,000 square feet. This is a big piece of property out there. It's very, very neat and very, very clean. And I can only imagine that having that turned into an apartment is better for everybody who lives there than to have a business there. I would think going backwards, just, in other words, if she had an apartment, she wanted to put a business in there, I would say no. But to have a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment where a couple of people live there, I can't see a better use for it. It's not a great neighborhood. It's, I mean, like a church across the street, which has 100% pavement. I think on a property like this, where it's so different from everything else, I would just give it to her. I mean, how much harm can 1 or 2 people do? You know?
I'm agreeing with you, the only problem is, what do you tell the next guy 2 doors down comes in next month? And says, they have one, can I put one in?
But this
You
matter of fact,
don't-
this is.
Nobody has the space up there for what's there. Oh, the next guy that comes down the street says, I want to put a service to?
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
No, but I want to put an apartment house out
Does
back.
he have enough space for it? Does he have
Well,
three-
so you're saying you would allow it, you would, then it doesn't become an R30 anymore, is my point.
Well,
That's where you gotta be careful.
my case on that would be, it was good enough for a ceramic studio to occupy all that space in 1990. What's changed?
The laws. So, in fact, they're working on even changing them again. The legislature is right now, so.
But we can't, consider what might be changed later on.
We know
And the
that.
only good part, I'm agreeing with you, because the other good part is the variance goes away, if I'm not mistaken. It could down the road, Marshall, as
What's
far,
that?
the variance on the ceramic, if we allow the special permit. Because a variance is forever, a special permit isn't, so that's my question.
Putting a lot of thought into this.
I don't know the
Way too
answer.
much thought.
Well, yeah, but this is what we have to do.
I know,
If it gets to court or anything, we have to do what's right.
but, well, you have to ask all the people that live around it. Apparently,
Exactly.
nobody seems to care.
Right.
So that's a good sign. Now, what's your answer?
I didn't say anything yet.
Okay. I mean, she pays taxes.
I understand.
On both properties, as if, she pays $10,000 in taxes for 2 buildings. So she has been paying for this privilege of having 2
Well,
buildings.
you're in a butter and you've no problem with it, is that right?
I'm sorry?
You're in a butter and you've no problem with it, is that right?
No, not
No, he doesn't.
whatsoever.
Okay. All
No,
right.
I think you should just rubber stamp it tonight, and move this thing on.
Okay.
I see no problems whatsoever. But she might have to tell you what she's going to put there. She didn't bring that information, but they can figure that out.
Precisely.
Why don't we, what do you think?
It's his turn.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Mike McCormick, 28 Thicket, around the corner. Used to sit on that side of the table for 13 years, so I'm familiar with the problems you guys have and what the decisions you guys have to make. Because her intention is to sell it. You don't know who's gonna buy it, you don't know what they're gonna do with it if you give them carte blanche. If you put certain restrictions on there, that would protect the community. So it's up to you guys to decide what restrictions, 1 bedroom, something like that, you know, just to mitigate everything. But as far as her ability to do that, and everybody else coming and asking for the same thing, she's got a unique situation with that extra building that looks like an apartment already, the way it's laid out, so. You know, I got my barn, I'm not gonna come in front of the board and ask to get my 55 Chevy out of there and set up an apartment. But I don't think anybody else in the area has the circumstance that she has. So that's something to be considered.
Right. And I agree with you, by the way, what you're saying about the situation.
Can I ask one more question? Are there any restrictions right now in that ceramic studio? In other words, can people, can she operate till midnight if she wanted? I mean,
Hours?
yeah, I mean.
Yeah, they're,
What I would be concerned about is somebody moved in there and did buy it the way it was, put a business in that was either noisy or a lot of traffic, and late at night, you know, cargo delivery or, you know, transportation, and bring stuff in the night before.
All right, well, there are restrictions
11
regarding that.
11 to 6 in the morning, noise restrictions in the town of Abington. I know where you're going with that. I agree with,
Yeah.
And part of why she's here, sir, is because, as a Realtor will attest, is the commercial business is dead flat right now. You know, so really the only way for you
And
to.
it's a huge problem for me to
Right.
take care of myself.
Right. Okay.
Huge house.
And he brings up a good point, though, that allowing someone, you don't know who's gonna come in there, renter or business. And so you get someone in there, and then he's getting some friends and whatever, and first thing you know. So that's another issue, but what everybody will tell me, or I've heard over the time, well, I don't care, I'm a neighbor now, but I don't, the next owner next door might, down the road, say, wait a minute, how did this ever get approved in the first place? So our names are on that now, you follow me? And that's why we've got to look at this in the big picture and not for you just individually, though that doesn't mean we're not going to approve this.
Yeah, I just think an apartment, you know, is a far better deal than not knowing what, there's a lot of businesses that don't need a permit, don't need a special permit, it's a yes.
But
You
in
don't know.
certain zones,
In the R30,
yeah,
yeah. But
So
we don't know, this you know. And this place is surrounded by rental.
So I'd like to close this to the floor and bring this back to the table at this point. So where I'm at on this is, I'm not 100% against it. My concern is giving you carte blanche to do 2,400 square feet of rental space. That's my first concern, because you could split the floors up and suddenly go, well, all of a sudden that property's basically a three-family, which I don't think would fit.
No.
Just, you know, like a yes is a yes, and then someone goes, you know, you sell it with the permission, you know, we say yes, you say, oh, good, those DBA just said, go ahead, and then somebody with money goes, we're just gonna gut it and make it, you know, a three-family. I don't think that the neighborhood supports that. I know you're not looking for that, but once you sell it and the new owner decides, you know, are you gonna convert it and sell it, or are you just gonna get the permission to convert it and then sell it? I guess that's part of the thing. So I guess I'm leaning towards this with certain restrictions, either in square footage and or number of bedrooms allowed. You know, because it is, in my opinion, John, a unique property where you have an existing detached building. It's not a garage, it's not, you know, a barn or anything like that. You know, it's really only use is either business or dwelling.
it's exactly, and my inclination is to think, that's why I said that earlier, a one-bedroom apartment. Once you start doing more, then you've got parking becomes a problem, and then it becomes an issue with the town and services. So if I'm leaning, that was my thought initially, because there's something got to be done with that building, other than saying, yeah, you can make it into a garage, which would still make it saleable.
Right.
One, you know, two-car garage.
But I think a two-bedroom it shouldn't be out of the question. I know when my daughter and her
Let's see,
and
now
her
you,
roommate, now they look for an apartment, they're
Right.
looking for a two-bedroom because they can't afford the rent that people charge.
see, now that becomes a different issue when you go to the two. Because once you're gone, the next people is controlling it. And I found
All
that,
right, but a two-bedroom, that isn't asking a lot.
well,
A one-bedroom becomes like an in-law.
that means it's a family though. Now you've got,
Small family.
yeah, but it could be
Or-
3, 4, 5 with
Or
the
like
size
she
of that
said,
one.
2 roommates.
So one bedroom with no limit on square footage, would that be fine?
That's how I was thinking.
Yeah, that seems fine. Two would be great, but I understand the town's concern. And,
What is your opinion, Mr. Bergen?
Well, so this is my first meeting, and so I was just feeling and listening to everything. But I did go to the site, and Randolph Road is these beautiful small houses, kind of Hobbit-style houses, and then there's these two large structures. And in fact, your barn, which I wouldn't really call a barn, it looks like it's a lived-in structure, but it is just as big as the principal dwelling. So I went off to learn about, because this is all new to me, about variance, and the way I read it, you can only grant a variance if there is some problem with the soil conditions or the shape or the topography of the land or a structure. And I suppose what I heard today is that there is a problem with the structure, because you have just this big building, which I think is out of all proportion to the small houses around it. But still, and it can only be done by a special permit, can it?
Special permit, not variance.
Yeah. I wouldn't
It's
agree.
in the thing, that's why I think.
I didn't actually think that an accessory apartment is a good example, but if it was brought up that if this is an in-law apartment, I think I could easily see that this would be approved as an in-law apartment. But I also did not know that the two buildings beside you have apartments. So that changes. Maybe it doesn't change.
I don't know if
much.
they're legal, but that's not mine. We don't know.
So I was wondering, what is the hardship? So the hardship is you've got just this big building, which is about the size of the principal dwelling, and you have nothing to do with it. You can't do anything else with it.
It's a financial hardship.
Yeah, so it's a financial hard.
It's specified it down at over 500,000, and we have it down, 45,000, and we have it down to 5 to 460.
You need a hardship for a special permit?
Well, I thought this is for a variance. Is this a
No, this
variance
is for a
or
special
permit?
permit.
Yeah, this
This is
case,
for a
it is
I
special
think they
permit.
put down
Yeah, they did the
in
slash,
general,
which-
They put it down, in the event that through investigation, we find that a variance was required, we will put special permit / variance. If you don't ask for it, it couldn't be
But
granted.
she's not
but
going to use it, right? She's going to sell the house, isn't it?
That's correct,
So
and
does
then
the
somebody
special
else is
permit
going to
carry-
exercise the special permit. The special permit would follow the property. She would be granted that, and she would have record it, and she would have a year to exercise it, or the next person that is going to use the property.
And that would satisfy the abutters too, in that case.
And
With the variance part of it, the building.
so I don't think you have to.
Business.
It's not as much requirement for us.
So the threshold is not as high.
Exactly.
The threshold isn't there. It's for a special permit.
No, because I would not think that it arises to a variance, but certainly a special permit, although I too would be inclined to put restrictions on it, more of a one apartment linked with it, rather than two apartments, 2 rooms.
do you have a inclination in terms of restricting, like the square footage, like to limiting it to the first floor, or, 1 or 2 bedrooms?
Well, in the application, it says that there's really not much that has to be done because you have all the utilities already hooked up.
Utilities and heating and plumbing, it would need to
Structural.
have structural, inside, it would need
Into rooms or something.
rooms
with it.
and, right.
So, and,
Definition of kitchen, et cetera, put in. So remodeling will be.
right. And the property card talks about 1,200 feet, around 1,200 feet.
Of habitable space,
of
I think
habitable
the
space.
second floor is just used as storage. so-
Right.
So would we just restrict it to the first floor and the
We can condition
1,200
that.
feet? Yeah.
And then,
So,
I- I'm sorry. I certainly understand your concern, John, but I also think if we restrict it to the first floor, and I would be okay with not more than 2 bedrooms, and let her, because, there are a lot of times in college and that sort of thing where, I had a roommate and needed a roommate, because.
I suppose we're also talking about a building that's actually as big as many houses
Yeah.
here in Abington, 1,200 feet. It's a huge, huge space. So, yeah, maybe 2 bedrooms. is in keeping.
I'm very reluctant to do that, but I will take a mental thought here, because, again, everything is so that down the road type of mentality is, we're not changing the town, and stuff like this has a way to take off. Mr. Richard, am I saying it right?
Mr. McCormick, yeah.
But you knew what happens when this stuff can mushroom, and this is the concern as a board, that we don't allow this to get out of control or anything, and that we're staying within the R30 regiment.
So I honor that, and I understand that, and I would also say that in this particular instance, you do have this pre-existing structure that is probably not equal to anything else on that road, and the lot size is so much bigger than most of the lots on the road. So I don't know if it would even.
Unfortunately, it's in the back, the pretty part of it, you know.
Yes, it is, you're right. The beautiful lot.
Yeah,
But it does exist.
That's exactly, but can you turn the house around?
But that, you know, ideally, it gets sold to someone who's gonna live there and rent.
Absolutely.
We can't control that. And
Absolutely.
we can't, you know, we can't put restrictions on it. But, you know, at the same time, I just feel approximately 1,200 square feet.
But it is being used that right now. The top part's not being used.
Correct.
They could have come in front of the board before and asked for an apartment.
Right.
So they were satisfied with it doing nothing before. You know, the top part other than storage.
Well, the little Christmas tree's gotta go somewhere, I guess.
That's where I do most of my physical work.
All right.
Pouring molds. I've got a.
Okay, so you twisted my arm long enough.
Thank you. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make it. I make a motion that we accept the petition of Linda Regan, 729 Randolph Street at Abington, for a special permit to convert existing detached ceramics into a two-bedroom apartment at 729 Randolph Street under Abington zoning bylaw, section 175-21-A, property located at Assessor's Plan 57, Plot 107 in the R30 zone.
Would you like to add any square footage restrictions on that? Want to keep it limited to the first floor, or do you not care?
I don't care personally, as long as it's the whole building, you probably rent it out easier,
Thank you. We have a
as long as you
motion.
don't have 50 kids.
Well, I'm out. We have-
I'm done with having kids.
Do we have a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
You'll see Nancy has a letter, there's like, as you know, probably 30-day
Okay.
waiting.
Great for the, yes.
Yeah, good luck.
Thank you.
Hey, good luck in retirement.
You're very welcome. Oh, watch your step. You're welcome.
No, it's okay. That could have solved this problem a year ago.
Yeah.
My heating system was going down, it was no money.
This is way too
I
close.
went down,
I know
pressed the
Carol,
reset
I work for her
button.
husband.
Ah,
so,
yeah.
Nothing happened, so I
Do it
just
well.
called the
Look
guy
at
to
it.
come in. He went down, he said, no, I didn't press the reset button because it smelled so funny. He said, if you had pressed the reset button and it kicked in, you'd have blown yourself up in the building.
Wow.
So, but I didn't do that.
That's bad.
Now it's a brand new heating system, so.
Oh, I'm sorry you had to do that.
Best of luck.
Best of luck, congratulations.
Is
All right,
is there gonna motion to end? the meeting?
Yeah, we need a motion to adjourn. And just so you know, I will not be in attendance at the August meeting. One of my rare and frequent vacations that I try to take during the
I
summer.
might not be.
Huh? It's my birthday, but I'll be there.
I gotta go.
What else would you rather do on your birthday than be
I make a
here?
motion before we get in, so I can shut the TV off.
Okay, all right.
Make a
That we
motion.
close the meeting up to the 14th.
I second the motion.
I
All in
second the
favor?
motion. Aye.
Aye,
All right,
motion is carried.
let me just shut that off.
Good idea.
Watch, we'll have a full docket that day, right?
No, I
How
hope
did
so.
that go?
The only thing on
Just a Montrose?
Oh,
Zero Brockton
really?
Ave.
Okay.
No,
Well, maybe I'll get his,
nothing-
maybe I'll get his
nothing
name right this time.
Yeah, nothing else is coming.
Well, that's good.
That's great.
It's unfortunate because it's one of those, if
Well,
we didn't
Oh,
have the
thank you very
issue,
much, thank you.
we wouldn't even had an August meeting.
Yeah.